Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys today? This is Chris Barron, and let's see what's what today. Until everybody joins in and lets me know if the audio quality is decent, let's have a look at someone that wants my course for free. Okay, I hope my email finds you and your beloved ones well. Free coupon. Okay, no, thank you. I never give out free coupons, so I'm sorry. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about what are we gonna talk about? We're gonna talk about leveling up, how we can get better at it, how we can get better at designing things, especially things in Photoshop. So that should be it should be fairly basic, right? You would think that it's just a matter of practicing. But the problem with that is that at a certain point, I think maybe about 3 years ago, one of my cousins wanted to change his career basically, and instead of working construction and whatnot, so fairly physical work, he wanted to become a designer because he saw I was making so much money and it was working at a desk at a computer. It was something he wanted, right? And he was really dead set on becoming a designer. Trouble is, he spent about 18 months working and he didn't win anything. And more than that, he spent about 6-7 hours per one single page. So those are huge red flags. I'm not talking about those cases, right? I think if you work every day, and he was working, maybe not every day, but he was working at least 4 days out of the week. Yeah, I would say 4 out of 7 days. If you're working for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and you don't win absolutely anything, I really think you should stop, right? But right now in this particular session, I don't want to talk about those types of people that have spent ages working every single day and they haven't gotten anything done. I'm talking about those people that have just started out. Maybe they're not 100% committed. Maybe they've been in this field for at least 6 months, but they haven't really put the time in. They haven't really spent a lot of time working and whatnot. So this session is for them. How can we get better at it, right? Let's assume that you already know how to use Photoshop, that you're pretty good at it, at using hotkeys and whatnot, that you know the basics, that your designs are pretty good. They're not great, but they're pretty good, right? They're not completely awful. So this session is for them. How can you actually get better at it? And obviously, I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't know already. It's obviously a matter of putting the time in. But first thing that I have to ask you guys, because I see there's quite a few of you in this chat room. Can you tell me what's your favorite font? Can you tell me at least 3 fonts that are really professional that you really like? If I ask you, what's your favorite serif font, for example, right? I mean, that should be something and I really feel that this tells me something about you. For example, look, Bebas. Bebas is great. That's a good choice, but unfortunately, it mostly works just in all caps form. Leto, for example. Leto is much too basic. It's really professional, but it's also cold and it doesn't have a lot of personality, right? Dosis is a great one. Indeed, I agree. Montserrat is pretty good as well. But see, that's the thing. You really have to make sure you know this. You know what's a great handwritten font, right? If you want handwriting, what type of font immediately jumps out? Let's say you want something that's easy to read, right? And it's, let's say, 36 or 40 pixels. Do you have one font in mind? And if you don't, you really need to get on top of things. And it's the same thing here, on Adobe fonts. What are certain fonts that really stand out? What are fonts that really impress clients, but without being, overly complicated and whatnot? So I really feel this is one of those things that can really set you apart. Just making sure that you have specific fonts that are really great. You don't really have to constantly change them. You don't really have to constantly adjust things. Let's say you're working on 99 designs and you just made a design with Dosis. You don't have to change Dosis on your next project. use those for every single project. It's as simple as that. And I know it sounds ridiculously simple, but to me, I realized that only after about 2 years of working. So I was constantly trying to change up my fonts, like someone was watching me, like someone was judging me. Are you gonna use Montserrat yet again? So I felt somewhat ashamed that I was using the same font over and over. And until it hit me, man, it really doesn't matter what I use. At the end of the day, what really matters is if I win or not, right? So yeah, it's really something that you should be accustomed to. Um, Now, one of the things that really sets you apart is when you read a brief. I really feel this. I really feel strongly about this because I think most of you guys, if you spend a lot of time here and you sort by trending or by most popular and whatnot, I'm pretty sure that it's very likely that you're gonna use again Oswald. You'd probably use Poppins and Railway and whatnot. But try and find some fonts, about this part of the page, right? So a bit lower down, just because you want to stand out. Look, Spartan is a great one, but it doesn't really make the charts. It doesn't really get used all that often. So if you can use a font that's beautiful, for example, this one again, Adamina, whatever this is called. If you can use these fonts to separate yourself from the pack, that's gonna be a point. That's gonna be a positive point. So do whatever you can do to separate yourself from the pack. Because again, I feel a lot of people do the following. And this is my next point. A lot of people do the following. They need a girl, right? Not a grill, a girl. And obviously they're gonna pick this one. Why is everybody drawn to this particular girl? Well, she is obviously attractive. She has a nice smile. She's dressed in red. Obviously, this is gonna be your top choice. The problem is, everybody's gonna do that. This particular girl is everywhere. Girl. A bit hard to pronounce. I just had a cup of coffee. Sorry about that. So again, I feel, if you're a medium designer, if you're not a total beginner, and you wanna level up, the first thing is you have to immediately tell me 3 fonts, 3 sans serif fonts, 3 fonts, 3 handwritten fonts that are fantastic, that you can easily use, that you know how to use, in what combinations, at what sizes and whatnot. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is to not use things from the first page, from the first list of results. And it's the same thing with free pick or flat icon. If you look for business or whatever, illustration or whatever, again, this particular image, I'm so sick of it. So I really feel like these are 2 things that you should immediately address. I'm sorry about the voice quality. I'm not really sure what I can do about it, but if this goes on, if the voice quality isn't good, I'll probably just switch to YouTube Live or something else. I'm really sorry about it. I'm doing my best regarding the quality settings, but I think it is what it is. I think it seems like for most people it's okay, but yeah, maybe it's just my voice, just my accent. Oh, okay. So for most people, this is great. Okay, so let's do a quick rundown. So number 1, learn at least 3 different fonts: serif, handwritten, sans serif, preferably not the most used ones, because again, everybody uses Montserrat. You should know that Montserrat is so overused nowadays. It's crazy. And basically, if you don't know how Montserrat really got started, it was a website called Design Modo, and these guys made all sorts of UI kits. They were premium UI kits, and they looked so sleek. They looked fantastic. So everybody started using them because, again, it was just so gorgeous, so beautiful, right? So everybody started using Montserrat just because of this particular website, because it was so striking. It was about, I would say, around 100 pages of freebies, of UI elements, basically, of website components, and it was just gorgeous. So this is where Montserrat really took off. But nowadays, it's really overused, and most of all, it's a bit too wide. For most situations, it's a bit too wide. On the other hand, Bebas or Oswald, they're a bit too condensed. So again, you should try and stay away from those things that are too polarizing. Let's stay a little bit longer on these fonts because I really feel like we should speak a little bit about them. So let's write something here. Chris is handsome, right? Okay, there you go. So let's actually talk about Nunito, which is something that I really appreciate, that I use nowadays, especially since I use it in my website of Us. Let me show it real quick. I'm pretty sure that you know it. Okay, sorry about that. Something really urgent. Okay, so this is Nunito, and the entire thing about it is that it's so rounded. It's a bit childish. It's friendly, but a bit too friendly, if that makes sense, right? So this is exactly what I'm trying to do with this particular brand. I'm trying to make it relatable, and I'm trying to make it an extension of myself, right? I'm trying to make it as friendly as I can, but without going overboard with it. So this is why I use it. But again, you should know that most clients won't appreciate it. You can use it in tech websites, but again, that's going to be a gamble. So if you use this on whatever, on Stripe, for example, Stripe is a great website. Let's go incognito though. So Stripe, sorry about that, typo. So this is a beautiful tech website. And again, if you use Nunito on such a website, it's going to be really tricky. The client is either going to love it or he's going to hate it. So that's one thing you may want to risk, or the opposite. Now, on the other hand, if we talk about, again, Bebas. Bebas is fantastic, but again, this is not for everyone. Some clients may hate it. I don't have all caps activated. This is just the font, right? And the Oswald is pretty similar. Let's go with whatever, this one, right? So this is not for everyone. Not all clients are gonna appreciate it, especially if it's in all caps. But let's use it like that. So again, this is where you really have to be careful. And again, doses in certain weights, in certain combinations. For example, light or extra light. This is fantastic, right? But again, it's only for specific clients, and I really feel like you should have your bag of tricks. You should have certain fonts that look fantastic that you know how to use. For example, using this one in combination with this one, for example, right? This is my headline, or something like, right? Something, whatever, something like this. You have to know your combinations because most fonts look great. Most fonts look great in certain combinations. For example, here on my website, I use Nunito and Zilla. This is a serif font. I really feel like this balances things out, and especially for long paragraphs, when you want to read a lot, serif fonts, I feel they really stand out better. I feel they're easier to read, so this is why I know this combination is a winning combination. You should know at least 2-3 combinations, right? But again, you have to make sure the font, you either completely risk it, right? For example, using Nunito on a tech website, or you go for something that you know works fantastically, but it's not a mainstream font. For example, again, you know, the top ones here from Google Fonts. Try and avoid these as much as possible. But for that one person that says Leto is basically, it's not even a white t-shirt, or let's call it a white t-shirt. So Roboto is something you should 100% avoid in, I would say, 90% of cases. Open Sans, again, most of its weights, it has 10 weights. They're very ugly. It's not something that's going to make you stand out. Again, you have to make sure that if you want to stay above your competition, you have to use something a bit special. You have to use certain combinations that are interesting and that specific client hasn't seen them anywhere before. Not in the sense that they're unique, But if you're on 99 Designs and you read the brief and you use the same fonts like everybody else is using, obviously that's not going to be great. That's one of those things that I really did that set me apart. When I read the brief, I constantly thought about, okay, what are these guys going to use? What type of images are they going to use? What type of fonts are they going to use? So again, stay away from these particular fonts, especially the Boto, Lato, Open Sans, which again, these are for news websites. These are for whatever, for CNN and whatever, because they have to be as cold as possible. They have to transmit a certain message, but that's it. The font in itself doesn't have to have any type of personality, because again, this is a news story, and news stories are sometimes, obviously, sometimes sad, sometimes tragic, sometimes they're happy. So you can't really use, for example, this one, Nunito, on a news story that says, okay, here's another tragedy, 1,000 people died, because again, this is friendly, this is playful. Every single font has a certain style, a certain personality. So yeah, make sure you have your bag of tricks. Now, Proxima Nova is a fantastic font that I love to use. Proxima Nova has many different weights and styles, and I think it's one of those things that really works well on YouTube. I really feel like this is I think it's actually one of the best fonts right now in my bag of tricks. This and Poppins. I really love Poppins. Again, it's professional, it's free to use. I can always, decrease the letter spacing to something like this. So it's really fantastic. But again, Proxima Nova is not readily available. It's not available to everybody. So, that's the downside. But yeah, Poppins, I really feel like it's one of those things that's fantastic. And again, for those certain situations, let me just spill my guts and tell you everything that I use. I use Josephine Sans as well. Josephine Sans is fantastic in its thin form. No letter spacing. So this right here can really go well with loads of things. And semi-bold is again pretty okay as well. So this is again something that I really use. But I would say that if you really want to stand out, the body text is the most important bit. I think finding something like Zilla is incredibly important, because again, let's clear the slate. So here's some paragraph text. Let's reset it. Let's left align it. Right. Let's go with 30 by 45. Right. So now look, this is Myriad Pro, right? This is as basic as it gets. This is something you should totally avoid. This is the worst thing that you can do when you wanna really stand out. You're never gonna stand out if you use Myriad Pro, or again, let's actually go side by side. Let's go with, let me first lower this. Let's go with Lato regular. Now let's go with the Boto, which is again. So you're never gonna stand out with either of these choices, with any of these choices. These are horrible. These have no personality whatsoever. Now again, I'm speaking from the point of, of you trying to stand out, of you trying to, get from that 6 out of 10 to maybe an 8 out of 10. This is the position that I'm talking about. Obviously, there are exceptions. Obviously, what I'm saying has to be taken with a grain of salt. These are not rules that are written in stone. But I think you get the point. I don't think I have to explain that I'm sometimes exaggerating just to get my point across. So this is the difference that I'm talking about. Zilla Slab looks so much better. Versus all these other ones, the client is definitely gonna feel this one, right? So again, if you wanna stand out, make sure you have certain fonts that you spend ages on. Just constantly look at this list, constantly refine it, especially with all these fields and whatnot, especially if you have something like, Chris is so handsome, right? And then, look for the categories and just look for serif, and then maybe look for something a bit smaller, maybe about 24 or so for the body text, and just look for something that really stands out. And again, you have to do this day in, day out. I really believe that you have to know this gallery by heart. Because, at a certain point when I got started, I was really curious about how some people really know color codes by heart. I really felt like they were cheating, like they already prepared that material and they were just recreating it, during the recording. Because they were like, okay, the color code is FDDD07. How the hell did they know that? How the hell did he know that this particular color code is great? Experience. That's how. Experience. So I know this color code is fantastic. So when I use something like whatever, let's do something here. Okay. So I know that this particular shade of yellow works great with black. Well, pure black, what I did, the 222 or something like that. So I know for a fact that this works well. I also know for a fact that this works well with my particular, oops, not this one, libraries. Let me just actually get to my actual, this is my actual workspace because I have a 2K monitor. It works well with this specific body text because that's my next point. If you want to do something for your body text to really stand out, again, most people may not see the difference between this one and this one. But overall, when the client is going to look at your design and another design and another design, what matters is he's going to be drawn to this one. And he's going to be drawn to this one not because he can explain it, not because he can say, okay, I really love the line height. I really love how you changed the anti-aliasing to smooth. I really love how you structured it in whatever, 2 paragraphs. He's not going to say that. He's going to say, okay, I think this one, I'm drawn to it. It's more attracting. It pops more. So stuff that actually doesn't really make any sense, right? It doesn't really, words that don't have any specific meaning, it pops. It's, it pops. How can it pop? It's just a design, The client basically just wants to say that it stands out, that he feels attracted to it. So this is, again, another type of thing that you have to make sure that you use. Not just 222, not just, these types of grays. I particularly remember that at the end of my career on 99 Designs, I was starting to win more and I was using brown. I was using something along these lines. So this in combination with, I'm not sure if you're gonna actually see it to the screen recording, but it's somewhere along this region. So this in combination with the brown headline, let's actually add one. Let's see what we have here. Chris is so handsome. Okay, something like this. Let's go with pop-ins. Let's go with black. Let's go with all caps. Let's go with, okay. And either something like this. Come on. Okay, seems like my Photoshop is lagging a bit. Okay, so this right here is something that really gave me great results because these are somewhat in the same region, in the same color region. So they really go well together. And on the other hand, obviously we have this. We have, this one and this one, right? But this one can be a bit different. It can be maybe something like this. So a slight variation basically of the same color. So this right here just makes the whole design sing. It makes it flow well together. It's these types of things that you really have to nail. And again, it's bit by bit, right? Half a point with half a point with half a point. That's how you get to 8.5, right? With every single thing from the line height to whatever, right? So you have to make sure that everything is on point if you really want to make sure that you're winning design competitions. Okay, now let's see what else. Let's talk about free pick. Again, free pick can be great. It can be something that, from what I've seen recently, I really feel like a lot of people use it a bit too much. I really feel like, you have the world at your fingertips right here and you look for something like Instagram, whatever, Instagram content, and you just replace something and that's it. Don't be a template editor. Don't be a template editor just because, again, you won't have a long sorry, you won't have a long career. It's something that, you know, you will get some decent results at the start, but you're never actually gonna level up. And I really appreciate the fact that I saw a movie on Netflix. Let me see, how was it called? Netflix design Instagram icon. It was a fantastic movie. Yeah, this is it. Abstract, the art of design. I really appreciate it. Basically, let me set the stage. So this specific movie, I really loved it. It was something fantastic where there's an episode regarding the Instagram icon. Not really sure what it is. Was it this one? Graphic design. I'm not sure it was actually this one, but I'll definitely have a look and give you the name of the episode and whatnot. Yeah, this was it. This was it. Okay, so it's, can I copy it? Abstract, the art of design, digital product design. So yeah, I really want to end this conversation with this specific movie, because I really felt it was fantastic. So what happened here? These guys were hired to basically revamp the old Instagram icon, and the old Instagram icon was fantastic. It was this one, right? It was really well built. It was designed by one of the founders or something like that, and it was really fantastic, right, from all points of view. And when they changed it, obviously they changed it to this one, right? And the thing that I love about that specific movie was the fact that they spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars hiring some of the best designers in the world, specifically this guy, Ian Spalter, whatever. And at the end of it, you know, he spent, I can't really remember, it was 3 or 4 months or something like that, something crazy, right? They made all these variations, all these things, and, you know, he came up with this one, and Instagram totally hated it. You know, they totally hated it. They felt so ripped off. You know, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. These guys, this team of designers, they were someplace, you know, where they had incredible office space. They had complete freedom and whatnot. And when they presented it, you know, the guy was, what the hell is this? What the hell is this what I spent $500,000 on? It was incredible. And on the other hand, I really feel for the guy, because getting better requires you to get immersed into things. You have to live and breathe design. You have to spend all your day in this bubble where all day, every day, what you do is you think about combinations, you think about colors, you think about simplifying things and complicating things and then simplifying them yet again. It's a journey. It's an entire process. It's leveling up. It's becoming Super Saiyan. If you watch Dragon Ball, it's something where, you know, you feel like you're growing every time you sleep. You get new thoughts, new ideas, new combinations, and you're basically on the bleeding edge of design, and you create something that's absolutely fantastic. But sometimes when you create something that's absolutely fantastic, it's the world basically is not prepared. Now, in this specific case, I think this is actually ugly. I think this is not a $500,000 icon. I don't think this is actually a 4-month icon, product icon. But yeah, it's something that I definitely recommend you watch, because it's really gonna put things into perspective, and how, you know, getting into a certain niche, getting into a certain area where you only work for that 1% doesn't actually mean that you're fantastic, right? It doesn't actually mean that, you know, if you work at some of the best design agencies in the world, it doesn't mean that you're actually the best designer in the world. Because I'm sure that you guys can tell me at least 10 different designers, 10 different people from all over the world, 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, that can create a better Instagram icon, right? I think we can all agree on that. I think, you know, this doesn't seem that special. This doesn't seem like it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But going back to what we initially started with, again, please make sure that you learn at least three different font types: serif, handwritten, sans serif. Make sure that you're not using the most used ones. Make sure that you're using some obscure ones if possible, just to get that extra edge. Make sure that you don't use the first results from the first thing that you think of. Maybe instead of girl, maybe you can think of something else. Maybe you can just browse for people or something. Maybe you do something like this where you scroll down a lot and then you pick something from from the last pages and whatnot. Make sure that you try and stand out. And then once you have certain combinations, once you know that certain things work for you, use them, right? Don't try and constantly change things up. Use whatever works for you, and that's it. Every single design doesn't have to be a clean slate. Nobody is watching you. Don't think about your portfolio. Until you have at least a few $1,000s in your bank account, just make sure that you're winning. And if that requires you to use specifically this font, Zilla Slab, and whatever Poppins Black, then use them. Use them, and there's no shame in it. Get some money in your bank account and then continue to level up, continue to explore the web. Look at as many things as you can on Behance, on Dribble, and just make a note of that. Make a note of how, for example, one of the things that I absolutely love is yellow. Make sure that you find a shade of yellow that works well with black text, but also with white text. I really feel that's critical, right? So that's another thing that you definitely have to do. Make sure that you find a specific color code that works well in both situations. If not, at least find one that works well with black text on it, right? So that's it. That's it for today, guys. This was the Designer Chat podcast, live chat, whatever thing, for the 24th of June, Wednesday, 2020. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll speak to you on Sunday. Bye.